The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, it's shout out to everyone out there in the world. Happy Wednesday night to all the fine folks out there watching this live. And if you're watching the replay, shout out to you too. Whether you're watching live or on the playback, make sure you smash that like button because there's not going to be a long live today. I just came here to kind of just talk to you guys and talk about some of the boxing news and really just kind of catch up with the boxing news because I haven't had time to make videos. Your boy BT has been very, very busy, very, very diligent to start this year off. I've been going to, today I was all the way out in Boca Raton, which is very far north in Florida. I was there at the Derek Santos gym. Did a lot of interviews today, Dominique Francis, Eric Tudor, a lot of people. So stay tuned for those interviews as well as all the other great content we got coming out here on True School Sports. But a lot's been going on. A lot's been going on in boxing. A lot of fights been getting made. We're getting off to a really, really, I think, positive start for the first quarter of 2023. And that's what we want to see. We don't want to repeat of last year. So hopefully, this continues going into the middle parts and the latter parts of the year. I think boxing is in a good space right now, But before I get into the news, because there is a lot of news, there are a lot of things to talk about. Let me just acknowledge some comments. Shout out to all four of you here. Make sure you guys drop your comments down below. All that good stuff. We got my main man, Jesus M, in the building. He says, "Saludos, BT. How are you?" I think he's saying, Where are you going, or where's Pops? Pops is I'm not home right. I'm not with Pops right now. I'm somewhere else right now. I'm in a different location than my house. But Pops is good. Pops is I talked to him today. He's doing good. So yeah. How do you grade the Tank card? It's not like a good card as far as competitive matchups, but it's a good card as far as showcases and names and things like that. So that's what I would say. If you're looking for a competitive fight, the only hope at that you're really only hope at that is your best hope at that, I think, is Rashidi Ellis versus Romain Villa. But other than that, it's mostly fights that are expected to be sort of one-sided. Hector Garcia versus Tank could be a good fight if Tank has a letdown, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. So, yeah. Jesus wants to know, am I going to Vergil versus Stanionis? I can't answer that question yet. I don't know. But I want to go to Vergil. I want to go to Vergil Ortiz versus Stanionis. That'd be a great fight to go to. I love Texas. So, yeah, let's talk about it, man. Let's not waste no time. Let's talk about Vergil Stanionis because that's the news. That's the news right now. We got Vergil versus Stanionis. So we're going to go to screen share, and we're going to talk about this fantastic fight in the welterweight division because unfortunately, guys, we had those two other guys in the welterweight division, who I will not name, but their names that they haven't fought. The two guys with the belts, they haven't fought. So I would say right now, whether you like it or not, this is the biggest fight in the welterweight division right now. I mean, Stanionis versus Vergil Ortiz is probably, at least on paper, right, might be the best welterweight fight we've gotten in a long time because, Ugas versus Spence was a cool little fight, but I didn't think it was no great fight, but it was a cool little matchup. This right here is going to be an absolute war. You got Vergil Ortiz, who's got a perfect knockout ratio, probably got one of the best jabs in boxing that nobody talks about. Great pressure fighter, taking on a very physically strong, great pressure fighter in his own right in Imanta Stanionis. Let us not forget, and let it not be soon forgotten that this is the same Stanionis that fought Butiev on the Spence Ugas undercard. Butiev was coming off a great win against Jamal James. That was looked at to be kind of kind of a pick'em fight going in, and Stanionis went in there and absolutely wiped the floor with Butiev, and he was one of those fighters that seemed to get better as the fight went on. So the fact that this fight is a done deal, and I got my dates mixed up, so I'll have to change the title. But y'all can say the date. It'll be March 18th on DAZN. And they don't got a venue yet. They're still trying to work out what venue they're gonna make, but it has been agreed to, and they have confirmed that it is gonna happen come March 18th. So this is great news. Stanionis is going to have to do with what the last 3 or 4 Vergil Ortiz opponents have had to do. He's going to have to go on the road and try to upset the apple cart. And we all know, like, as good as Vergil is, let's call a spade a spade. We all know when you fight, fighters in Texas, like Mexican or Mexican American fighters in Texas, it's very hard to get a decision. So I don't think he's going to be able to win this fight by having a workman-like performance or anything like that, or outboxing him. He's going to have to knock Vergil Ortiz out. And the good thing is I think their styles are going to mesh to a point where someone is going to get knocked out. And if somebody doesn't get knocked out, then I think that would be a testament to both these guys' durability and both of these guys' chin. But let's get into it. So my commentary reported this. Shout out to him. So they're fighting for Stanionis' second, the WBA regular title, the secondary belt. And at the WBA convention, which took place just last month, Vergil Ortiz's promoter, which is Golden Boy Promotions, they submitted a $2.3 million purse bid for the fight. Stanionis is actually going to get, the lion's share of the money, as you guys can see right here. Stanionis is getting a nice little payday. So listen, when you're fighting on the road and you're fighting, someone that is the A sides, quote unquote, he's gonna probably get the benefit of the doubt if the fight is close. This is how you want to get paid. This is how you want to get compensated. And there's been a lot of talk in boxing recently from guys like Ryan Garcia and Calvin Ford about how belts don't matter. And I get where they're coming from. They say belts don't matter. Belts have been watered down. Being a champion doesn't mean now what it meant back in the day. But then when you get these guys like Stanionis from like these countries like Lithuania and these other countries where maybe they don't have a big following behind them and they don't necessarily have a big network behind them, belts mean everything for these kind of guys. As you can see right here, a belt, and it's not even like a legitimate, like it's not even the main title, it's a secondary title. But you see what a belt has done here for Stanionis. It's put him in a position to not just get paid, but get paid handsomely against a guy in Vergil Ortiz, who, if he didn't have a belt, let's say if this was a non-title fight, he's not getting paid $1.7 million. So belts, they may not mean as much to fighters who have a network behind them and are big on social media and things like that, but belts do matter, and these numbers right here kind of validate all that. So he's taking home $1.7 million. Vergil's taking home $575,000, and that's what it is. And you gotta applaud Vergil at least a little bit, because that number is not a big number. Stanionis is one of these guys that when you fight him, like, you're gonna have to take some punishment to beat him. Like, Vergil is gonna get hit this fight. Vergil is gonna sustain some punishment. He's gonna sustain some damage. And when you factor in taxes and all these kind of things, $575,000 is not like the most money in the world for a fight of this kind of risk. Just being honest, it's not. So kudos to Vergil for taking the fight. Kudos to Vergil for not doing what Jose Ramirez is doing right now, Regis Prograis, trying to, dictate things that are already set in place by the sanctioning bodies. Albeit, I get it, Vergil Ortiz is more of a guy on the come up. Jose Ramirez is more of an established guy. So maybe if he was an established guy, it'd be different. I don't know, but I'm just happy the fight is happening, because in this weight class, this is one of the most overrated weight classes in boxing, because nothing ever seems to happen at the top of it. So it's good that we're finally getting some action. It's good that we're finally getting some guys, highly ranked, fighting. And stylistically speaking, right, if we just talk about the styles of it all, like Vergil Ortiz versus Stanionis is a fight that I think boxing fans can't miss. I think it's a fight that for the first quarter of the year, I know we got Benavidez versus Caleb Plant that's supposed to happen in March supposedly, but for me, this has a chance to be probably the best fight of the first quarter of the year, because you got two guys that haven't tasted that top level welterweight glory just yet. You have two guys that really are starving to be champion. And stylistically speaking, you got Vergil Ortiz, who Vergil Ortiz, unfortunately, and I hate this about this is actually one thing that I hate about how Mexican fighters get judged, because a lot of times Mexican fighters, especially if they get knockouts, they get the label thrown on them. They get the label thrown on them of like come forward fighters, whether you're Mexican or Mexican American. or Chicanos, whatever. They get the label of come forward fighters, and that's all they can do. And then sometimes fans, because they label them that, they can miss out on some of the things that make these Mexican and Mexican American fighters really, really good and really, really dangerous. Like Vergil Ortiz is much more than just some come forward fighter. Like I said, he's got a piston-like jab, high volume jab. I don't think it gets talked about enough. And I think this fight right here, he gets a chance to display that jab, and he gets the chance to display how good his boxing skills truly are. Because one thing we know about Stanionis is Stanionis is going to come forward. Stanionis is going to get stronger throughout the rounds. Stanionis is not one of these guys that's a front runner. He's not going to be blown out of his ass after 4 rounds. He's going to be someone that I genuinely believe is going to be able to take Vergil Ortiz the distance and make Vergil Ortiz have to really get in there and have to work. I mean, he had to work a little bit against McKinson, but unfortunately for my boy Michael McKinson just didn't have the firepower to keep him off of him. And Vergil Ortiz got his timing down. That's nothing too. Vergil Ortiz is very good about he's very good about picking up on the pattern of his fighters, of the fighters he fights. Because whether it's an awkward southpaw like Michael McKinson, a long rangey guy like Maurice Hooker, or even like other pressure guys he's fought like Antonio Orozco, he just seems to really be able to detect and decipher what his opponents are doing. So, I mean, you can't get much better than this. If I can't make no promises, but if I get a chance to be at this fight, I'm gonna be at this fight. So yeah, just a great way to get the welterweight division on track. And I hope this fight can encourage the other guys in the weight class. Like the 2 guys with the belts. And maybe Gervonta Ennis, if he takes care of business this weekend against Karen, maybe he can fight the winner or the loser. I would be happy with Gervonta Ennis fighting the winner or the loser of this fight. I know this is a WBA fight. Vergil is going the WBA route, so I get all that. So whoever loses this fight, whether it's Vergil or Stanionis, I like to see Gervonta Boots Ennis fight the winner of this fight. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think, man, because I think this is a fight that this weight class just needs so badly, and Vergil needs it because there are people. I've been seeing a lot on social media. People who really like Boots, they don't really believe in Vergil for whatever reason. They think Vergil's a hype job or whatever. Okay, cool. And this is a fight where I know a lot of people who are kind of critical and skeptical of Vergil. They think that he might be in trouble because the line of thought is, well, yeah, Vergil can come forward and Vergil can get knockouts and Vergil is physically strong. But then now you have a guy here in Stanionis who's the same thing. And not only is he those things, but he's been those things against, other, top 15 caliber guys in the division who have proven things. Like, for example, he beat Butiev. Butiev whooped Jamal James, and I was there the night at the Mandalay Bay when he whooped Jamal James. Butiev was no slouch. So, man, what a fight! I can't say nothing but good things about it, honestly, to tell you the truth. So, yeah, man. Shout out to everyone here. Let me see who else we got in the building. We got a lot of people here in the building. We got my man. Is that Johnny Ortiz? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Johnny Ortiz. Johnny Full Throttle Ortiz out there in Philadelphia. He said, "Hey, what's popping? What's good, champ? How you living? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Looking very forward to Gervonta Ennis getting back in action this weekend. Hope you're good wherever you're at." Milo, South Florida's very own Milo. What's good, champ? He says, Vergil versus Stanionis is Vergil versus Mean Machine too. You think so? I think I don't know if it's. I can see that. I think personally, Stanionis is fresher than Mean Machine. I also think he's physically stronger than Mean Machine. So I think for those reasons, it makes the fight more interesting. I like Mean Machine. Kavaluskas is good, but Kavaluskas, we know that he had been in some tough fights, and we knew he had a bit more mileage and wear and tear on him. Stanionis is a younger, fresher, stronger guy. So I see the similarities, but I think it's a better fight. We see Mean Machine had a good 1-2 and counterpuncher skills, and that's from my man Isaac Bermudez. Yeah, has all those things, and he's a very, very hard puncher. I don't think it's talked about enough how hard that man punches, and you don't really quite see how great his punch power is until he's not fighting the elites. The elites, okay, he couldn't beat Vergil and he couldn't beat Crawford, but that's okay. A lot of guys can't beat Vergil or Crawford, but when you start putting him in there with like the Mikhail Foxes of the world, the Michael Zuskis of the world, and them kind of guys, you see what he's doing. He's folding them up, beating the brakes off of them. So I agree. Superhuman Unchained, what's good, champ? He says, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I appreciate all the support. I always see your comments, man. Thank you. You know, we work very hard here to provide great content, and I'm literally like my eyes today were like bloodshot red because I barely slept the last like 2 days. So it's been a crazy 24 hours for your boy, but thank you. El único cocho, saludos a todos. What's good, champ? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Chance, my main man, Chance Dotson. What's good, BT? How you doing today? I will be there for this fight. Let me know on IG if you will arrive. If you're planning on coming too. Yeah. Right now I can't really say because I gotta see how things go these next couple months for me. But yeah, man. I'm doing good. Man. Working really hard. You know, this year for me, I'm working on being a true professional, meaning that like no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on in my life, I gotta be here to talk boxing with you guys. I got to go to the gyms in South Florida, cover these South Florida fighters, because if I don't do it, nobody else will. So, you know, I'm doing good, man. I'm happy. I'm happy with the fact that I'm taking things, just life and what I have going on here a lot more seriously. But yeah, if I go out to Texas, I'll definitely be talking to you, and I'll definitely be hitting you up because, man, it's been a while. I mean, I've been to Texas in a while. I mean, I spent a good amount of 2021 in Texas, and then I barely spent any time in Texas in 2022. And Texas is getting a lot of fights, you know, in the first 4 months of the year. You know, you got this fight, you got the Bam Rodriguez fight, which I'll talk about here in a second, in April as well. So yeah, definitely. Rider of Storm says, who do you think will win, and how do you think this style? That's a great question, man. It's a hell of a question. I could see Stanionis hurting Vergil because we see Kavaluskas hurt Vergil, and Stanionis, like I said, he's a physically stronger guy and he can push you back, but he doesn't necessarily have, I think, the boxing skills I think Kavaluskas has, but I think he's the stronger guy than the Kavaluskas. So for me personally, what I think is I think the Vergil Ortiz jab gets a lot more respect this fight. I think Vergil will lose some rounds. He may look vulnerable at times, but Vergil Ortiz, I truly believe, is going to surprise a lot of people with his boxing skills. It's gonna take a lot to stop Stanionis, but I would say he gets him out of there in the later rounds. I'm gonna say he gets him out of the later rounds because Vergil's one of these guys. You know, he comes forward, he does it in an educated fashion, and he ups the pressure little by little. So I would say Vergil Ortiz, 10th round stoppage. I'm gonna go with the Vergil Ortiz late stoppage, but good fight though. David Easter, he says, I'm not an LDBCer, but yeah, Vergil's kind of hyped up. If Crawford or Boots would have fought McKinson, think of hell and the backlash. If Crawford or Spence fighting McKinson would get backlash because McKinson is not a championship level fighter. Now, if you're a guy who's in the rankings and you're trying to get a title shot and McKinson's highly ranked, then he's a guy you fight. Crawford and Spence have had multiple, 5, 6, 7 title defenses. They've established themselves as top pound for pound fighters. So yeah, they'll get criticized. But like, let's say if Boots fought him, fans would criticize him because most people don't know shit about boxing. I wouldn't have criticized him because Michael McKinson, before he fought Vergil, you got to remember what he did. He beat Chris Congo, who was highly ranked. Chris Congo was supposed to be like the next big thing from the UK, the next big puncher, this, that, and the third. Upset him and schooled him. I mean, absolutely schooled Chris Congo. Then he was supposed to fight Vergil, and they try to and he went through the ultimate hell in his American debut. They switched, Vergil pulled out because of what he had going on with his whatever his condition was, and then they couldn't find an opponent, and then they gave him the most negative style to deal with. They gave him pretty much himself and Alex Martin, and he still dealt with that pretty well. So McKinson's a better fighter than people give him credit for. I don't think Vergil's overrated. I think people just say that because it's for whatever reason these days it's just popular to hate on some of these Mexican fighters, and people criticize me for hitting on Mexican and Mexican American fighters, which I don't understand. But Vergil Ortiz, I think, has done a very good job of dealing with different styles and stopping them. We'll see. Oh, look at my man, Hybrid. What is that? Hybrid 25 US. What's good, champ? Shout out to the super chat. Appreciate you, champ. He says, just join, but I am loving this fight. I feel like any fight, I feel like any boxing fan should love this fight. Like, this is a fight that this division needs, because like I said, for we can play the blame game. We can point the finger at Crawford. We can point the finger at Spence. Whatever side you're on, it don't matter. The guys ain't not fighting, so the division's not moving, and a lot of guys are kind of being screwed. They're being screwed out of getting title shots right now, and it's kind of messed up. But it's just good to see two guys undefeated, dangerous, fun. Not a whole lot bad you could say about Stanionis. Not a whole lot you could say bad about Vergil, unless you really trying to. Just a great fight, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. We got my man Derek. Derek, what's good, champ? He says Ortiz probably the difference. You think so? I mean, it's been a difference so far. 19 times it's been a difference. So yeah, man, it's been a big difference. Let me see. We got my man. I know Johnny Ortiz says he wants a link. All right, I'll get you a link. Give me let me cook for 10, 20 more minutes, man, because I got other fights I want to talk about. Just want to get through them and get my thoughts on them. But I'll drop a link here in a second because I'm a little tired and it will be good to talk to somebody. But give me a second, Johnny. But let's go at that screen share right quick. I appreciate everyone here. Appreciate everyone here, man. Long ass day today, man. So much driving. But yeah, man. Get into Hector Luis Garcia versus Tank. It is still Hector Garcia versus Tank fight week. We got a guy, Hector, that a lot of people aren't giving a chance to. But there are some people that think that, Hector, because of the fact that Tank has had his issues out the ring, he was out here in Parkland. Which ain't too far from where I'm staying right now in Broward County. He was out here in Parkland, and, he got into whatever kind of trouble he got into, so it is what it is. But a lot of people think that because he's, his baby mama is giving him problems, Hector's going to give him might be able to upset the apple cart and take advantage of his problems outside the rings. But Hector doesn't think that Tank is going to be unfocused or not committed to the task. He thinks Tank is going to really go out there and try to, it's still going to be dangerous. But here's what he said verbatim, and then I'll read it to you guys, and then we'll get Johnny in here. He said, and I quote, "I don't think he lost focus because I've seen him continue with great training, and the way he continued working just like he's done before. He's a great fighter for a reason, and I know that he's going to want to represent his country and his city just like I do." And there you have it. So Hector Garcia is not banking on Gervonta Davis, baby mama issues winning this fight. And he shouldn't, because one thing about boxers at this level, I don't care whether you love a fighter or hate a fighter. Any fighter who makes it to the level of a Gervonta Davis, you got to understand these guys are targets every day in the gym. If Gervonta Davis goes and spars here in South Florida, or he spars in California and LA, or he spars in New York, or wherever he goes to spar, he has a target on his back every day because people want to make a name off of sparring him. So there's a certain level of focus you got to have when you're at his level. And the same goes for any of these guys, whether it's Vergil Ortiz, Gerard Ennis, Crawford, whatever. These guys have to have a certain level of focus just to be who they are in the sport. So if banking on Gervonta Davis not being focused and being anything less than his 100% best, especially knowing that if he wins this fight, so they say, he might be fighting Ryan Garcia next, this is not a good way to think. So I think Hector is taking the right approach. If Tank does have a letdown like Chris Colbert did, then obviously I'm sure Hector will come with a great game plan. Him, Bob Santos, the fine folks there, they're gonna do their thing, and they're gonna have a lot of fun while doing it. And that's just what it's gonna be. So yeah, there's that. And then the last thing I'm gonna touch on, and then I'm gonna get my boy Johnny here. The last thing I'm gonna touch on, I had other things I wanted to touch on, but I said, you know what, we'll call an audible today. We'll call an audible because I want to talk to my boy Johnny Ortiz. I wanted to talk about this real quick, not too long, but real quick. I did see this interview. This was on the Boxing Voice. Demetrius, Andrade. I was watching the Boxing Voice, just a random Boxing Voice episode while I was cleaning my house, and it was crazy. Andrade just pops up out of nowhere, which I thought was awesome because I've been on the Boxing Voice. I have argued with Ness on the Boxing Voice for Andrade, and that obviously made some waves in the boxing world when I was on there. So we know how Ness feels about Andrade. So I thought the interview was very interesting. Andrade, pretty much, he was asked about, all the stuff that's happened these months, Janabek, Parker, John Ryder supposedly getting the Canelo fight. And When asked about the John Ryder fight, here's what Andrade said. He stated the following, and I quote, "Just more bullshit, bro. Just more bullshit. That's just what it is. It's just another easy fight, another situation for him to go and say, I'm fighting the best. I'm not disrespecting John Ryder, but come on, bro. He is not the best." And then he said, and then when asked about like, why he didn't continue to like press Canelo, because in 2021, as I was covering it a lot that year, Andrade was just on Canelo's neck when he crashed the press conference, all those type of things. But he said, I did my thing. I did my Rocky Balboa shit where I put faces on the characters. I did my thing, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and rely on chasing down Canelo when Canelo doesn't want to do it. He would rather fight John Ryder. Now, let me correct Andrade, man, because I like Andrade. I like John Ryder too. I'm a fan of boxing. But, like, you can sit here, and I know the argument's going to be, and I know he said, well, I'm not going to go to England and fight Zach Parker for 150 grand, which is okay. It's his prerogative. But at the same time, it wasn't the fact that he was just fighting for that little amount of money. It's also the fact that if he would have won that fight, if he really thought he could have beat Parker, which honestly, come on. I always thought he could beat Zach Parker, but I mean, look what John Ryder did to him. I mean, come on. I think Andrade would have beat him. If he would have beat him, then that would have put him in the position to be able to fight Canelo next, and then it would have forced Canelo to make the tough decision again of either A, do I fight Andrade or do I vacate? And then Canelo would have vacated, he would look bad again, and then it would have put Andrade in a position right away to be a 3-division champion. He probably fights somebody for a vacant belt, and he's right there in business in the super middleweight division. But that's not what he did. Instead, and I know you can talk about money. It's okay. I get it. It's prize fighting. Get your money, but he did pass up the opportunity. And John Ryder, people like to this is what gets me upset. People like to shit on John Ryder, but like a lot of your fair fighters in 168, they didn't have the year John Ryder had last year. John Ryder beat Daniel Jacobs. Many people say it was a controversial fight and he lost. I don't think he lost, but that's my opinion. But he beat Daniel Jacobs and he beat Zach Parker. That's the facts on black and white paper. He got 2 wins over those guys in 2022. So because he got those 2 wins, and because one of those fights was like a eliminator fight, and he became interim champion, that's why he's in the position that he's in. It's not because Canelo just said, "Oh, I want to fight John Ryder." No. Does it help that John Ryder is British? Yes, because Canelo has said, they've talked about Canelo going to England for a long time. Does it help that John Ryder is kind of like a come forward fighter that would probably make a good entertaining fight with Canelo? Yeah, that those things help, but what helps the most helpful attribute and thing that he did was the fact that he won the fight that Andrade passed up on. And that's what it is. I'm not going to say too much bad about Andrade, but that's just the facts. So on that note, I'm pretty much done cooking. Let me go ahead. I'm going to drop the link. I'll be here for like another hour or so. So I know Johnny Ortiz said he wanted to come on and cook. And listen, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, whatever. Vergil versus Stanionis, this whole Andrade situation with him talking about, Ryder, whatever you guys want. I'm gonna let you guys dictate what we talk about, because truthfully, I'm really tired. I may not seem like it, but I'm really tired, and I'd like to hear from you guys. So there's the link. Feel free to join. My main man Eddie, Canelo Exposed by Bivol proudly presents. That's right, champ. Talk to him. The next live Jesus will probably be, I think, either Friday. It'll either be Friday, and if not Friday, it'll be One Tank Fight. So that's just what it's gonna be. But we got my man Johnny Full Throttle Ortiz. Let me see. What's good, Johnny? Let me see.
Yo, what's popping?
What's good, Johnny?
Shoot cooling, man. Just relaxing, man. I got a colitis infection.
What's up, Johnny?
Right now, so I'm getting over this. You can hear me? You can hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, just chilling right now, getting over this colitis infection. How about you?
Long day, man. Driving all day. Went to go interview some local fighters. Other than that's it.
I can dig that. Somebody just said something stupid.
What they say?
Somebody said, hopefully Usyk fight. What's the bull do? Japanese monster after.
I see. That's funny.
NUA.
That's not happening.
Yeah, what's the topics, man?
Well, we were talking about, Vergil versus Stanionis. I know both those guys are fighters that your boy Boots always gets lined up with. What do you think about that fight?
That's a good fight. It's gonna go either Stanionis by knockout or Vergil Ortiz by decision. I think Stanionis a little bit more sturdy than Vergil is, but I'm favoring I've given the edge to Vergil because it's in his living room. And
Yeah,
in Dallas, yeah, so I won't give the favor, so everything's gonna go to but I wouldn't be surprised if Stanionis was to stop Vergil, because one thing about Vergil is he can't fight backing up.
yeah. Nobody's been able to really push him back. All the guys.
You seen in glance like against Maurice Hooker in was it Mean Machine
Yeah,
that he has trouble. He just one thing about Vergil, he got a good jab and he got to have momentum going forward.
yeah. No,
So if you make
absolutely.
him fight off the back foot or smother him, he'd be in trouble.
Yeah, and I think his manager's done a pretty good job of getting him like pretty favorable style matchups, like Antonio Orozco and even like McKinson. Like McKinson served its purpose, like awkward guy, but he wasn't gonna push him back.
Yeah, awkward. He awkward. Gave angles, but didn't have the power to hurt him or make really Vergil Ortiz respect him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. I know they're not fighting Boots anytime soon.
Nah. Boo's situation is real interesting, man. You know how the business go. It's crazy because a Bud fan was like, why don't Boots take the WBO? But I was like, if y'all know the rules, so the WBO, Vergil was number one for a
Yep.
little while, like at least near a year. Vergil didn't take his mandatory, so he had voluntary defense, and they made Sean Porter mandatory. So what people don't understand is the WBO, you have to wait till May to be mandatory. So that means, say if Bud comes back and fights in March or April, right?
Yeah.
So you would have to wait after that fight, then wait for Bud's next fight. So in May, you're mandatory. So Bud probably won't fight to the end of the year. So that means you won't get a shot at him till next year. Where in the IBF, you take this interim. So after Spence fights in April, you're mandatory. Hold on, my fault, my damn dog. You're mandatory right after that fight. You got 120 days to come with an agreement or vacate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people that don't know boxing don't understand that shit.
No, they don't. They don't. And it's just crazy, man. Like Boots has 30 professional fights, and he can't seem to get the big one yet. But hold on a second, Johnny. We got my man Just Akio. What's up, man?
Hey fellas, what's up?
What's up, man? What you think about Vergil versus Stanionis?
I apologize. I'm not familiar with those fighters, but I do enjoy boxing. I just want to say, like, I don't see the point of delving into the politics of the sanctioning bodies, though, because, like, I'm sure, like, I mean, you guys are hardcore boxing fans. Like, we all know those belt organizations are really corrupt, So it's like, I don't understand the point of delving into the minutia of their rules of, like, who's super champion, who's diamond champion, who has to take what mandatory.
The only reason that I delve into the minutia of the boxing politics is so that I can understand any and all bullshit that goes on with the business of boxing. Personally, I don't care. I want to see the fights. I'm like you, but sometimes you get these crazy matchups that come out of left field, and you don't understand why guys are fighting each other, and that's the only reason I talk about it, man.
You got to behind the scenes, you got to look at the sanctionings, because that determines a lot of matchups and determines why people don't fight certain people. So it's like it'd be politics. A lot of these sanctioners get paid behind the scenes. Y'all see at conventions, you can go up to a convention, and depending on what fighter is, you can go up and talk for 30 seconds and they move you up right then and there. So it's just a whole bunch of politics and BS around it. Like right now, the business in the welterweight division is surrounded around Spence. So it was a big thing on like, yo, why didn't he mandatory for the IBF in 4 years. Now the
Yeah.
IBF, do the Spence and Crawford politics. Oh, you're technically was a mandatory, so this fight is going to be your mandatory, and we're putting an interim title on it.
Yeah,
And then
not just that, like you start learning about like the people in boxing, the power brokers in boxing, like the managers and stuff that have more influence. So then when you see fighter A align with that person, then like they're probably gonna get more things in their favor. That's the only reason you want to understand those things. Is personally, I don't really care about it. I'd rather just talk about the fights. But unfortunately, the politics do matter. That is a harsh reality I had to come to myself.
But it's a vicious cycle. The politics only matters because people put importance on the belts, and the belts themselves are like based on on corrupt rankings, corrupt people who don't deserve shots over other guys. You know what I mean? It's such a vicious cycle. I don't know.
No, I get it. But that's a catch-22 as well, because there's some fighters in boxing that if you left it up to the champions to fight would never get title shots. Like they would never ever get title shots because they don't either have the network behind them, they don't have the money. So there is a lot of corruption, but it's not all corrupt, if you know what I'm saying. Like there is a place for some of what they're doing. It's just that they don't even follow their own rules sometimes, so the waters become really murky.
Just to get into I think what messes up boxing and makes it all confusing is that it's too many belts.
Yeah.
That's what confuses everybody. It's too many belts. Then belt sanctioning now even hustling more. They're making up titles like the regular title, franchise,
the international title.
Yeah, they just making up titles for to get their percentage. Like at 135, to be honest with you, the WBA is getting more money off the regular title than their so-called super champion.
Yeah,
Tank is getting them the money right now, and he's quote unquote regular champion.
Yeah. And you saw. I showed it earlier. Stanionis is getting paid $1.7 million for this fight. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and Stanionis got done. If you look at that history, he kind of got done dirty too, because they try to at first they try to force you guys to fight Stanionis.
No, absolutely.
And then Stanionis wait there. Then after the Spence politics, he was expecting to fight Spence, and then here it goes. Nope, now you're forced to fight Vergil Ortiz.
Yeah.
So it's all about the politics.
With the belt politics. That thing that was interesting to me is when Paula Malignaggi was calling out Devin Haney about like his when he got the WBC title, but it's like because he felt entitled about being able to call shots and like asking someone to step aside, but like the situation there was that at the time Lomachenko took the Teofimo fight instead of Devin Haney, but that in itself was due to some like WBC bullcrap rule. So it's like, but now he's in my opinion he's the legit lightweight champ, but like he got to that position through like kind of a glitch in the rules of the WBC.
But yeah, now to reply back to that, that's why you look at it both ways. Like Devin Haney was number one, but it was unfair for Lomachenko to protect Lomachenko. They made him a franchise champion, so technically he don't. And just, I guess you could say, emailed. Now you're a champion, Devin Haney, but they did that so Lomachenko wasn't forced to defend his title against Devin Haney. So now you're a franchise, and even if you lose, you're technically still a franchise. So that whole confusing bullshit that was going on. So people could say, yeah, you was emailed a championship, but on Devin Haney's behalf, it's like, yo, these dudes want to fight me when he's a champion. I'm number one.
Yeah. Hold on, Johnny. We got Julio, who's been in here for a little bit of time. What's up, Julio?
What's up? How are you, man?
I can't complain, man. Just talking some boxing. What do you think about Vergil versus Stanionis?
I think it's a great fight. I actually think Vergil might end up showing more wrinkles in his game in this fight. I think he'll end up actually showing a little more of his boxing skills, and I think he'll probably stop him late.
Yeah, that's the really intriguing part, because Vergil, I think, unfairly gets labeled as a come forward, just a come forward Mexican fighter. I think he has more wrinkles to his game, and Stanionis is the guy that's gonna bring it out of him.
Yeah, I think he gets that perception because his contemporaries, Boots, who's just a lot slicker, more dynamic type of fighter.
Yeah, Boots is full of all those special effects. I mean, I know Johnny's been in the gym with him because he's in Philly, and I've seen him in the gym one time. And dude is like a video game.
Yeah, I actually been in the gym with Vergil before too, over it when he was with the Garcias.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so with Vergil, he's very strong. He worked hard, but it's funny. Like another matchup when people was trying to, when Vergil was first coming up, Vergil beat Danny Garcia. I was like, no, that's a bad matchup for Vergil because Danny's a good counter puncher.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and he's just super durable. Got them 6 toes, so he never gets dropped.
So what I seen from Vergil is that I like the kid. He's very strong. He's motivated, come forward, but he just can't fight going backwards, and he don't really move his head. He got a good jab, and he's real explosive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. High volume jab too.
Yeah, he's not like, to me he's good, but to me when it comes to skill set, when you talk the technical terms, I think he's kind of overhyped, but he's a good fighter. But when you talk about technical terms and matchups and skill sets and all that, he got a lot of flaws, but he overcomes it. From one thing, the kid got a lot of heart, and he comes forward and he's explosive.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Boots is probably one of the more fascinating fighters. Like I see Roy Jones in him. I see James Toney. I see Bernard Hopkins. Like he's fascinating to watch for sure. But the only thing I wish though is that he'd fight more often. Like I wish Showtime would move him the way Golden Boy is moving Vergil.
Yeah, I wish Showtime would move a lot of fighters the way they move Vergil, because Showtime just don't have no dates.
Yeah,
they don't have a lot of dates.
People look at me crazy. I've been in the gym with Floyd. I've been in the gym with a lot of people. Boots is the most gifted fighter I've ever been in the gym with.
Yeah, you know what? I want to tell people out there, Johnny, because people may not know this about you, but like I've been seeing Johnny on these Facebook groups for like years, and I'm not talking like a year or two. I'm talking like 5-6 years. You've been banging the hoop, the banging the drum for Jerron Ennis.
Yeah, I've been telling people like, yo, this young boy coming. Once he first turned pro, I was like, this young boy coming. I seen him at, I seen Boots he was probably like 15, 16, beating up grown men in the gym. And I'm talking about top grown men that at the point where they're at their full peak and, getting ready to fight for titles and stuff like that. And I've seen that coming. I told people, I was like, yo, you all see it coming. Now people finally realize, like, oh, shit. Especially these Spence and Crawford fans.
Yeah, I've seen you dropping a lot of knowledge on, I think it's called YSM.
Yeah, that's my guy. Shout out Jamil.
Yeah, Jamil. Shout out Jamil.
Great interviews.
Yeah, you see the Crawford fans hate me on that. They even DM me on Facebook and all that shit. They hate me on that. And I like Crawford and Spence's fighters, but I tell them what it is.
Yeah, anybody who likes Crawford and Spence, like our fanboys of those guys, they're gonna hate you.
See, bro, because like the reason I'm so fascinated by Ennis is because I am a Crawford fanboy. I feel like he's gonna be like the 2.0 version. He's just bigger, hits harder, it's quicker. Like he's that style, but I don't know, a little more finesse to him.
Here's the thing where people mess up. Where I always debate. They always talk about resume, accolades. I was like, when it comes down to the ring, you put all that shit out. It's about a lot of times. Only thing I give people that they haven't seen that I got inside that Boost is a dog. But it comes down to skill set, what they do in the ring. That's going to determine that fight. It ain't going to determine, oh yeah, he was a 3-time world champion, this and that, stuff like that. Like that don't determine that shit. That's why I be trying to tell them.
That's like I remember when I was banging the drum for Canelo to fight Andrade. That's the first thing that the Canelo fans used to always do is pull out the piece of paper, And I'm gonna. It's good to have. It's obviously great to have a great resume, but you can't go into the ring and say, "Hey, here's my piece of paper." You lose. Like that's not how this works.
Man, it's a lot. Like you can go back to a lot of fights if you went by accolades and all that. Would Muhammad Ali as Cassius Clay would it be Sonny Liston?
No.
There's always a jump up. It don't the
Andy Ruiz wasn't supposed to beat Joshua because Joshua was just beating everybody up at heavyweight at that point in time. He hadn't lost yet.
But that's how it goes. There's a lot of hype. The media, I love Bud, and I would favor him to beat most 147s. But when I go back to his resume, I just be looking like, his toughest fight to me was, and I still favored him, was probably Victor Paul style, where I was like, oh, this kid right here can give a little fight. But besides that, there ain't no fight that I was like, oh, Bud, oh, maybe Felix Diaz a little bit, but there ain't no fight where it's like, Bud was damn near like, oh man, he could lose this fight. Even going back to 135, I was like, man, you knew Gamboa was too damn small going in his hometown. And Ricky Burns, that was there to get beaten. That's why he went to Europe, because that was an easy fight to take.
Yeah, but he took it and he did what he needed to do.
Yeah. So
the problem with Crawford is like, a lot. You're not wrong. Like a lot, there hasn't really been too many fights where you could say he would lose, but the problem is there's not many guys, period, that are gonna make fights competitive with him because he's just too good. Like, you have to get him in there with Spence or Boots or something.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%, because I was at the point where what kind of irritated me is, I seen where Crawford was coming, dealing with top rank, so it was probably harder to get them like Danny Garcia's, the Keith Thurmans, things like that. It was probably hard. It was difficult. Then when you got out that contract, and I'm like, all right, let's get this on with Spence and Crawford. Let's get this out the way. Then that bullshit happens. I'm like, man, I'm done with this shit. Like, now you can't blame Top Rank no more, man. You can't. To me, honestly, I think Top Rank would have probably got that fight.
With
Top Rank. Yeah, with the Earl Spence, it probably would have been easier than what's going on. And from the politics I'm hearing behind the scenes, that shit might not happen.
Yeah, but I think you make a great point where, like, people, like, they don't consider the skill level, because I feel like when Boots beat up Custio Clayton, everyone's like, oh, he's a can, XYZ. But that guy was an Olympian. Like, he was undefeated, I'm pretty sure. Like, if he had fought another, like, solid welterweight, it probably wouldn't have ended that way. It's just the talent level is much higher relative to where he's at.
No, I agree. He would have gave all the other, I'm not saying beat, he would have gave them rounds, though. It would have been good rounds with them. But
yeah. Well, it's like you got different classes of fighters. You got guys, there's plenty of good fighters, and then there's very good fighters, and there's great fighters, and there's guys you would classify as like masters of the sport. Boots, I mean, he's got the skill level. He hasn't been in there to where I can say he's like a master of the sport just yet, but he's a great talent.
Yeah, that kid. Talent. I don't even pipe fighters like that, but Boots is generational. You barely gonna see it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I seen him spar that one day when I saw you in Philly, and then I know he wasn't even going 100% that day, and he was something to watch.
Yeah, I was like, that's generational, and people look at me crazy. I was like, I've been all over in gyms and stuff like that, and I was like, this the most gifted kid I ever been in a gym with. That's including Floyd Mayweather.
That's high praise right there.
Yeah, Malik Scott said that. He's like, he's pretty boy Floyd level. Like, he's that type of fighter.
Yeah, you gotta think about it. Like, think about a much bigger. He's naturally more explosive.
He can switch.
It's like a Roy Jones mixed with like Floyd Mayweather in him. Like Roy Jones using fundamentals, and he's a switch hitter.
Well, I always say like Boots is like the perfect storm, because he's elite boxing meets elite athleticism meets discipline. Like because a lot of guys they could be like A-level across the board, athleticism, boxing skill, but they don't have the discipline, and they don't even love boxing. But like, he lives in the gym. It's hard to find pictures of Gerard Ennis outside the boxing gym.
Yeah, he gonna be like his pop. That's all they know. Even when you tell him, let's go bowling, he don't do nothing but box, probably play the video game, and that's about his life.
And play basketball. I play basketball a little bit.
Yeah, here and there. And he might go bowling once in a blue, like for like a family event or a birthday. That's about it. You don't be doing nothing. He only been out one time, and that's when they set up his victory party. that was it. Like, you can't get him out the gym. Like, he gonna literally, when he fights Saturday, he gonna be in the gym Monday, and he gonna spar most likely. If people need sparring, he gonna go in there and spar.
I got a question for you, Johnny. You think that could want to be a problem for Boots? Like, because sometimes I know he's in the gym, and it's good that he's in the gym, but can you do you think maybe he could overspar or overtrain? Because he's always on Instagram talking about I did 10 rounds and I used one hand and I did this and I did that. But like you think maybe like, because I know I've heard stories before about like these guys in Philly, like sometimes they do too much sparring.
The thing with him is crazy because he'll go sparring, but it ain't like he's going to wars and sparring.
Okay. All right.
So
Right.
that's his situation. He don't go to wars and sparring. He barely gets hit. He's the only person like I've been around like daily where I never seen nobody like get over on him in sparring.
That's
so that's
good.
why like it ain't like he going through wars, like he going in there and he's going through wars and stuff like that. Sometimes his dad be having to force him out because he be trying to sneak in extra rounds and shit.
Yeah, because you know Philadelphia fighters, they can sometimes be too Philadelphia for their own good. They want to go and let the nuts hang in the ring.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's just a heart and pride thing when it comes to Philly.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. Well, there's like a lot of things going on in boxing right now. I know whatchamacallit, the Lexus Rocha got a fight made, but he's not gonna fight nobody.
To be honest with you, I think that's who Terrence Crawford might fight next.
Alexis Rocha?
Yeah, I can see that happen.
Why you say that? I know BLK Prime said they're supposed to do like 6 pay-per-view shows this year, but
because I don't see Terrence, because he probably gonna come back before the summer, and I don't see Terrence Crawford versus Spence happening. But then if you look at the WBO rankings, Boots about to be out of it. A couple names, Crowley about to be out of it because Crowley fighting for the WBC eliminator.
Who's he fighting? I'm
hearing Jamal James. It might be.
Okay, that's good for him because I mean, he really kind of got screwed because he beat Abdul Kakarov, who was like the IBF #1 for years.
Yeah, and then they barely even put him up.
Yeah, so.
And I remember what's the name? Kakarov. He was when Boots was trying to fight him. He kept on. He denied it 3 times. #1. But yeah, so when I was looking at the names, Rocha was the only one name that made sense for him. A little bit of sense.
I know when the night Rocha knocked out Blair Cobbs, I was there, and I asked him. I said, "Hey man, they got this guy in Philadelphia. Would you want to fight him?" Of course, he said, "Yeah." No fighter says no, but it's up to Golden Boy.
Oh yeah, Golden Boy probably not gonna let that happen because they got a little brand behind him right now.
Yeah, and he said me. The thing is with him, like I don't think a loss would hurt him because he has a good fan base in California. He's from Santa Ana. They all drive up no matter where he fights in California. He's fine.
You know what's crazy? Like Blair, that's my guy from Philly.
Yeah.
So I like that Blair calling everybody out. So last time I had to check Blair, like, yo, he finally came out like, yo, I was like, why are you calling everybody out besides Vergil, man? And he told me straight up, he was like, yo, to be honest with you, man, Golden Boy. He was like, Golden Boy told me not to call out Vergil, but now I'm calling him out. I don't care no more.
I believe him because I remember when I went to I was in San Antonio when Gilberto Ramirez fought Yuniesque Gonzalez, and then that was the card. Nisa Styles on that card, and then they had the one welterweight Raul Cordial, the Mexican prospect, who was like 12-0. And I asked him in the press conference, I was like, "Yo, are you gonna fight?" I started asking him if he's gonna fight the Golden Boy welterweights, and the Golden Boy staff got mad at me. Like they're like, "Oh, why are you asking that?" I'm like, "Well, because there's a lot of fighters to fight." At the time, they still had Rashidi Ellis, who they hadn't cut yet. They got Vergil, they got Blair, they got Rocha.
Yeah, I was looking at Blair like, man, that should be the easiest setup, man. You calling out all these other people, and you making yourself look bad because we looking like, man, you calling out Boots and not calling out Vergil. I approached him like, what's up with that? Then he admitted, he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Golden Boy was trying to tell me not to call out Vergil, but I'm gonna start calling him out. But he called him out a couple times, so I respect it. I'm all with the gimmick. I'm all with the Ric Flair and all that gimmick. I'll be like, yeah, Blair. Blair used to be in the gym with me too. We used to go to shooters together.
Oh yeah?
I was there when Boots sparred Blair when Boots was like 15.
Oh God.
Can you give us the inside scoop? Because on his part, like he'll never stop talking about it. But I heard
it's funny,
that
he was on live, and I always mention it, man. Boots tore on Blair ass up. That was one of them we tore up. He sparred like 3-4 different people that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many rounds they spar? You remember?
He sparred like 3. Then they got frustrated with Blair and got him out the ring.
Why he wasn't throwing no punches?
No, he was just getting tagged up. Like they
Okay.
was just mad. Marty and them was mad at the time, and then they just Then you seen Blair frustrated and all that shit too.
Yeah,
But
I mean when I interviewed Blair, he was talking, that cash shit about Boots. He was.
I'm like, man, no, I be telling Blair I got love for you, but Boots will put you outside that fucking ring.
That's what Boots said. Because I remember he ran up on Boots the night of the I think it was the night he beat Delorme.
Yeah,
and we saw a side of Boots I never seen before. He was talking about he put him in a casket.
I was
I think that was Boziana said that, or someone said that. They were like, yeah, it's a nice shirt. It looked good in the casket or something like that. Like, but yeah, I think Blair Clapp is entertaining, but yeah, aside from being a heavy bag for Boots, I don't have interest in that fight.
Boots is weird when it comes to media, right? Like when you talk to him straight up, you'll see a whole different personality. It's like when it comes to media, it kind of like he's shy a little bit unless he's frustrated.
Well, I think when I went to Philly, I got a good side of him because I interviewed him right after sparring, so he was all aggressive and stuff.
Yeah, you got him in his frustration and stuff like that. But you see him. But from what I seen down in DC, they just had their media workout. You could tell he was making jokes and all that. So he seemed cool. Like I text him like, you getting better at this media shit.
yeah, man.
Because usually I be getting on him about his brand in the media. He just, even when I do the stuff, when I was getting Jordan brand to send stuff to him, I used to be like, yo, man, don't talk to the camera, talk to me.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, what other fights are you guys excited about? I mean, I know I'm excited about Vergil versus Stanionis, but are there any fights that really interest you guys in particular?
This year, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Caleb Plant Benavidez. That's going to be an interesting fight. I'm trying to think what else is like official. There's a couple unofficial fights that in the works that might be exciting.
I was really excited for Charlo versus Zoo, but that one got scrapped.
Yeah, I'm actually happy for Zoo. I think he needs a little more seasoning. I think Charlo might park him if they had fought when they were supposed to fight.
I think in Boo Boo's contract that he most likely getting Charlo next.
I hope so, man, because both of them.
He got a 3 fight where he got Benavidez's name in Charlo, so he might get Charlo next.
I hope so. He needs some sort of big fight because all respect to Desmond Nicholson, or Demond Nicholson, but you can only be fighting that level for so long, and he's it's not all his fault, but there have been some times that have been his fault. So it's like
you know how it is. You make the wrong. That's the thing. Make the right business moves. When you make the wrong business moves, it's harder to behind the scenes. And I think he kind of seen it when now that Canelo started working with Matchroom. It's kind of like Eddie Hearn brushed him off. Like you should have been in that. You should have been in that. When Boo Boo approached Canelo, you should have been in there hyping it up. But you telling Boo Boo to get away and shit.
Yeah, to get out.
Like
I remember when I think it was the week of the Haney Jojo Diaz fight. I asked Eddie because I think it was the same day that the WBO had. I remember they were petitioning for the Charlo fight.
Yeah,
it was around that same time, and I remember I asked Eddie, I'm like, because he was talking about getting creative with matching up Demetrius Andrade, and I'm like, whoa, will you get creative and match him up with Canelo? And he's like, no, Canelo, he's gonna go here, he's gonna fight at 175, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. He never really had any real interest. Once he got Canelo, he never had any real interest. I believe he probably did try a little bit when Canelo wasn't his fighter, but once Canelo became his guy, he said, I ain't messing this up.
He was like, man, I ain't trying to get Canelo mad. Yeah, get out, this and that. But going into that Matchroom deal, he was promised like Triple G. He was promised it was a deep 160 at that time, so that's why he took it and couldn't get none of them. And I can see where he coming from. Did Boo Boo fight John Ryder?
No,
he didn't.
That would have been a good fight, but no, never.
Yeah, I know he fought a couple Europeans and all that.
He fought on his Matchroom deal. He fought. So I think his first fight was supposed to be Billy Joe. I think it was Billy Joe. That wound up becoming.
That would have been a great fight.
Yeah. That wound up becoming the big African dude, Kakadawa, the big strong African dude. He wound up fighting. He fought him. Then he fought. I think it was Sulecki. Then he fought Akavov. Then he fought, I think it was Keeler. And then I think Liam Williams was not too long after that. And then Quigley. Well, yeah, it was a European tour. I mean, being honest.
Yeah, I'm about to say he couldn't get the fights that Billy Joe found his way to get out that shit. He was like, hell no, I'm finding my way to get out that shit. I'm going to get caught trying to say I can't make weight, move up.
Yeah, and it paid off. I mean, he moved up. He won a title against a guy we still don't know about, a Sufi. And then
he got the Canelo fight.
You know, fought him in front of half Mexico. He fought him in front of half the Mexican population. That shit was like being in Guadalajara when he fought at Cowboy Stadium. Oh, I was there. It was crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to see that fight too, Billy Joe and Boo Boo. Too. I was sick when that.
Well, you know,
his way out.
I've been hearing that he's trying to come back, Billy Joe. He's trying to fight again.
He probably got to lose a lot of weight. I heard he walking around like 220.
Yeah, he
probably cutting off weight slow. You probably gonna see him come a cruiserweight, then light heavyweight, then try to work his way down.
He had that Marcus Maidana effect going on. You know, when you start getting that next level money, you start moving up 5 weight classes.
That's funny.
But that just shows you got talent in him, but he's not really disciplined and really want to fight like that.
What's the best way for a boxer to get the weight down if they blow up in camp?
The best way, just to eat healthy.
Yeah, I'm about to say the best way is to not blow up.
Don't eat ice cream and French fries and Philly cheesesteaks and pizzas. And don't know. Like
people don't get boxing as a lifestyle, man. So when you're not fighting in camps, some people could be talent, but when you match the same talent, now it's the lifestyle that's going to play that effect of who going to win.
You always want to be within like 10 pounds of your fighting weight. Yeah. So like if you're a middleweight, you want to be like 170. When you're not in camp, so that way when you get a fight sign, the weight cut is smooth. But the problem is a lot of fighters when they don't have a fight sign, they get 30, 40 pounds above their fighting weight, and then they don't even have time to strategize or plan or actually think about their game plan.
Yeah, they don't train for the fight; they train to lose weight. I heard stories of like Bernard Hopkins would be like he'd tear breading off a chicken just so he wouldn't have to eat those calories.
No, Bernard Hopkins, one thing I can say, he's always been disciplined. Bernard Hopkins always been disciplined. He walk around his weight, fight weight.
Yeah, same with like I know down here we have like Chris Algieri. I see him all the time. I never once seen Chris Algieri out of shape.
And then even
he was a nutritionist.
Bernard would tell you what helped him is he kept his jail mentality when it came to that.
It seemed like he keeps jail mentality with a lot of things. He still carries his jail card.
Yeah, he keeps his jail mentality of his habits on how he eat, how he move, and stuff like that. Like, be disciplined. He said his discipline came from jail.
That's good, man. A lot of people will live 30, 40, 50 years and never find any discipline in anything.
Bernard Hopkins, for his age, he's still lean in shape right now.
No, I know. I seen him out in LA like a couple months ago, and dude looks better than some fighters. Like, you know, as far as like how he takes care of himself.
But yeah, B-Hop, one thing you can say about him is he always going to keep in shape for sure. That same thing with a lot of people, you got to live that lifestyle. When you don't live that lifestyle, that's when you got like the Adrian Broners in them. They don't really live that lifestyle. God.
I seen Adrian Broner. I met him for the first time because he trains down here. I met him like a couple months ago. I seen him before any of this any of the fights right now. I seen him, bro. His gut was hanging over his shorts, bro. I'm watching him do pad work. His gut's hanging over his shorts. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, they might switch the weight. Why should it be a fight at 147 instead of 140 like a week before?
They've been doing this forever with Broner. I remember when he was supposed to fight my boy Adrian Granados, and I remember they were supposed to fight on February 11th, 2017 at 140, and then he couldn't make the weight, so they pushed the fight a week back to February 18th. And I remember it was like a 144 and a half or something like that. It was crazy.
I heard Errol Spence he's a bit chubby out of camp as well. I think at that Frank Martin fight, he was looking a little heavy in the face.
Yeah, he's just big in general. He's a big guy. He's like,
he probably got into that car accident and had to relax for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and then he started having some of that good old Texas barbecue.
Then, you know, at one point his situation started getting undisciplined. You know, that drinking and all that shit.
Oh yeah.
party and all that. As a fighter, people need to understand your body is your ticket. You need to keep health for your body. Keep good.
These guys can't, like, people don't understand. Like, I've been around fighters. I got friends in the fight game. Like, I've been around fighters in the cutting weight. These guys cannot be normal. They are not us. They are not allowed to be normal. If they're, I was just telling somebody at the gym today this. I was like, boxing is the one sport where, like, you will get criticized for being normal. Like baseball, basketball, there's other sports. Like, yeah, you can be mediocre and you'll still get paid, and some people will still like give you your credit and whatnot. But in boxing, shit, you got fighters that are 30-0, like Boots is 30, almost 30-0. People still don't give him his credit. There's so many fighters who are at the top level that don't get their credit, and they're not gonna get their credit until they win a certain particular fight. But they can't be normal.
Boxing is where, when it comes to, it's like an emotional sport. So you always gonna have like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Throughout their career, they got criticized. Andre Ward. You're gonna see it with Spence Crawford. You're gonna just see it with everybody. Canelo. Not all their career. They're gonna give you flowers maybe afterwards, but they always gonna criticize no matter what.
Oh, I got something I want to ask you about, Johnny. What do you think about this whole, like, because I know you see this guy in the gym. What do you think about this whole, like, Stephen Fultz and Noye thing, man?
Oh, Scooter.
Yeah, Scooter.
It's a good fight. I think Scooter might be a little bit too big for Inoue.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think he might be a little bit too big.
If Inoue
can't hurt Scooter, he gonna have a problem on his hand.
Yeah, because I like the monster, but I seen it like in a couple fights. Like, he don't look the most comfortable on the inside, and everyone assumes he's gonna go to 122 and fill out and still be this killer, but you just don't know until you actually see him in the next weight class.
I don't know. When it comes to Inoue, I need to see more. Like, I think he's a great fighter, but I think he's kind of amped up too. Like, people. To me, honestly, if like Donaire was in his prime, it would have been a different situation. I think Rigondeaux in his prime would have beat Inoue.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
A 118 Riggy, the one that beat Donaire and all them.
If you don't get touched, because as good of a boxer he was a little chinny. I remember when he fought Francisco Cordoba and a couple other guys and got clipped and got hurt bad. And Inoue is punching much harder and much more sharper than them guys, and he's faster too. So
I think he would have tagged Inoue up like he did the prime Donaire. Inoue, to me, don't really got defense like that. Then one thing about Riggy, he'll frustrate you.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah,
he'll frustrate you.
Ask Casemiro.
He'll frustrate you.
He threw 5 punches around, and the crazy thing was, I thought he won. I thought he beat Casemiro.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'll definitely be an entertaining fight, but I think Scooter's just physically too big. Cause Scooter, I think, ain't he fighting Figueroa rematch at 126?
Well, it's not finalized. At least they haven't announced. Maybe it is finalized, but they haven't announced it yet.
He's definitely in camp.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's in camp. So they definitely.
That's probably the next fight then. Yeah. I mean, I don't personally. I went to that fight and I don't think he needs to rematch Figueroa, to be honest with you.
No, I agree, but a lot of hype people don't really know boxing said think Figueroa got the best because he was throwing a bunch of arm punches.
Well, it was like it's kind of like that fight that happened in the low weight class the other day with Joshua Franco and Ioka. I mean, I thought it was a close fight.
I didn't get to see it.
It was a close fight. Could have won either. It was one of them fights, Johnny, where like Franco, the volume guy, is moving his hands a lot, but then like he's not really landing clean shots frequently, but it looks a certain way. And then Ioka was real slick and he was blocking a lot of shots with his gloves, but there were rounds where he wasn't throwing as much as he should have. But when he was throwing, he was landing. So it was like it was a frustrating fight to watch because nobody really imposed their will on the fight.
What do you think if Scooter went up and fought like the 126s, like Ramirez and all them,
like Robeisy and all those guys?
That'd be a great fight.
That'd be an amazing fight. The fight I'd like to see the most, because I know Scooter likes to sit there in the pocket sometimes with guys who are aggressive. I mean, I think he'd beat him, but I like to see him fight the Lee Wood from England because Lee Wood's pretty strong. Lee Wood has this. He's not defensively sound at all, so I think Squid would beat him. But I don't know what it is, bro. He finds a way to outmuscle these guys. Like, every time he's gonna lose a fight, they say he's gonna lose a fight. He just outmuscle these guys and he stops them. So I like to see that fight just because I think he's the most physically strong guy in the weight class. But I think he beats most of the guys at 126. 126 is pretty whack right now, like the top of the division.
Yeah, I think Gary older. He's getting hurt. Gary Russell Jr. Navarrete, he moving up, right?
Yeah, he's at 30 now.
Yeah, 30. I like Rubisi.
Yeah, Rubisi's really came a long way, man. Because I know for these Cubans, because I see it all the time here, because we have these Cuban gyms here. These Cubans, it's so hard for them to break out of that like amateur mentality and the Cuban mindset. But he's done a great job adapting the style to the pros. Because I remember when he got knocked out that one fight, and now Ismail Salas has turned him into a guy that can knock you out. He's not.
I'm about to say he's you could tell he's really sharp and putting it to his punches.
Yeah.
Salas is a very underappreciated trainer.
Oh,
very underappreciated.
One of the best in the whole sport. Look at what he's done with Joe Joyce. Now, I remember when Joe Joyce first got into boxing, he trained with a couple of different guys. He trained. I think he had a stint with like Abel Sanchez. He had a couple other. I think he's had a couple coaches, and then Salas hasn't like reinvented the wheel with Joe Joyce, but just like little things, man. Just cleaning up him defensively. He doesn't have the defensive lapses, as many defensive lapses as he once had. He understands positioning more, and those things are making all the difference as he stepped up in competition.
I've never been to a gym out Miami yet. I was gonna go to Tank when I was down there. I was down there for Art Basel. I was gonna go try to go up to Tank and them camp, but they ended up having that press conference.
Yeah, there's a lot of gyms here, man. Like, cause from like
I was
Miami,
going to link up with Shannon Briggs a while ago.
He's crazy. Shannon's crazy because Shannon doesn't have it. Like, people ask me, what gym does Shannon train at? And like, Shannon don't train at no gym anymore. Shannon's kind of everywhere now. So like, I go to different gyms all the time. So I see Shannon at different gyms every now and then.
Then who else? Luis Ortiz and them was down there, right?
Luis Ortiz, yeah, he got a good amount of fighters here. And the thing too about the thing that's really cool about here is like the when a lot of the people from overseas come, like whether it be like Cuba or the UK or wherever, they always they come to Miami, they'll go to like Fifth Street Gym and
what's his name? He actually up here. He hit me up. I know he been going there. He used to go down to Miami. What's the kid? Danny R.
Lucinov. He used to train at a gym called Delray Beach Boxing Club. That's like really probably like one of the northernmost gyms from Miami. But yeah, it's he used to be down here a lot sparring people.
Yeah, Danny R. Right now I think because I think he got the IBO, but he probably going through he going through managerial issues.
I heard he was. I don't know if he's went ahead and retired, but the last I heard of him was like the middle of last year. He was talking about if he couldn't get a fight in 2022, he was gonna hang him up for good.
From what I heard, I spoke to him on WhatsApp. I know he was going through managerial issues, and that hopefully he get to go over to the PBC.
Yeah, whatever he's gotta do to be active, I'm all for it because to me, like, there's a lot of welterweights in the top 10, top 15 that I think he's better than, and the fact that he just can't get the fights is just sad.
And he was a gold medalist, right? Or I'm tripping.
Yeah,
gold medalist. Yeah.
He had all this hype come into the pros, and he hasn't done anything wrong but just win.
Yeah, that shows like how he was saying is the business, signing with the right people. Same thing what happened with Boo Boo. One thing when you're a top, I say a blue chip prospect, and you go through the mid-level promoter, they might throw you more up front, but when you get in the rankings and then you have to play the politics and all that, that's where it kills you. Yeah, kind of see that coming with Boots right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're not going to get those fights because why? the question it's not hard for a manager or promoter to not want to fight you because unfortunately, and I think this is one of the things that I want to try to explain to people is like every fighter has what they call a market value. Market value, how you're perceived, what networks and people will pay you, and these things can always be damaged by taking a loss or not looking good. or just being with the wrong person. Your market
But-
value can really be all messed up if you're with the wrong promoter.
Yeah, I had to tell Boots, y'all need to stop playing that high risk, low reward now, because I was like, right now, besides Thurman, you the biggest payday. Maybe Vergil.
Yeah.
I was like, right now, you can't that whole Spence and Terrence Crawford, I was like, hold up, homie, you the biggest. I was like, right now, besides Thurman, maybe, because I think he could right up there with Thurman, like his height now. Vergil.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you're the biggest payday now. They can't keep on using that high risk, low reward shit now. That's why I be telling them, like, yo, put that pressure on them, because they can't.
Yeah, I think if you're a fighter, that shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. Like, if you're a fighter, don't even say that about yourself at all.
Yeah, I was like,
especially if you're one of these fighters that gets into a mandatory position, because if you're a mandatory challenger and you're exciting and people want to see you fight, then that goes out the window.
I think Boots, if he handled Brandon in the media, he could be 10 times bigger. But one thing I can say is not really big. Besides them two champions, the rest you could debate who's the bigger names right now. You don't hear people outside of boxing talking about Keith Thurman.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't.
Yeah, Keith Thurman, he kind of when he went away from boxing a while, kind of killed his momentum.
Yeah, because to me, like I thought Keith Thurman when PBC had that money and they were really moving him and he was getting all those crazy views like on CBS and whatnot. I felt like he was one of the best things for the welterweight division at first, and then the injuries happened and he got a little bit. You know what
get crazy when it comes to boxing, and it's kind of like you can see the downhill of a boxer when they start thinking business, and they don't got that same energy no more, that determination.
Well, they tasted the good life. They tasted
the good. Now you think of business. You remember Keith Thurman coming up calling Paulie, "Don't duck me, son. Don't duck me.
You better not duck me, son."
Yeah.
Oh man, Anthony Joshua.
When
he was like the big scary guy, and he became a brand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then that
might be a bit different, Julio. He was a brand from day one, but yeah, I think you're not wrong. Like it became too much of a brand.
Now he started thinking everything is a business. He started talking every interview. He's talking business, this and that. That's when the whole Earl Spence. And now you see the same shit with Earl Spence.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I be telling Earl Spence, y'all mad at the same shit. Y'all mad at Thurman, the same shit that Earl Spence is doing with Boots right now.
Yeah, that's how it goes. A lot of fighters, they'll play the role of the hungry young contender until it's time for them to be, the guy that's the ace side.
And then I was like, Earl Spence at least had there's an IBF route that you got to respect, that Kell Brook coming off the Triple G was like, man, I ain't ducking that. We fighting.
Yeah.
I was like, Boots don't got that because y'all hogging up the titles.
Yeah, unfortunately for Boots, there's not a champion that respects the belt like Kell Brook did.
Yeah, it's like there's not no opening right now.
Truthfully, Kell should have dropped that. Kell just fought Golovkin, got beat up bad and had to make a sharp weight cut back down to 47. He should have just dropped that belt and went 154. But he's like, nah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's what I be getting with the Spence fans. They be getting mad like y'all hate Keith Thurman. Y'all hate him.
Yeah.
But now Spence is doing the same shit. And now y'all talking business being fanagers with him. I starting to call people fanagers.
Fanagers, yeah. I've been hearing that term from a lot of people. I like that term.
Y'all want to be fanagers now, like, yo. No, just be fans of boxing, man. One thing about it, during lifespan, you want to be able to see the best fights possible. That's why I be telling people, Spence.
I want to go to these fights. Like, I want to go to these fights as a fan.
Spence and Bud fight Boots and they lose, man. I still look at them as glorified Hall of Famers, man. We just want to see the best fights, man.
Yeah. Same goes for like I want to see the fight I really want to see is that Bivol better be a fight. That's the fight I really want.
Oh hell yeah! I think that's gonna happen.
I hope so, man. I'm getting a little bit pissed off because it seems like they keep trying to make these they keep putting mandatories on these guys like they're trying to they're telling I think it was Beterbiev that after if he when he takes care of business of Anthony Yard They're telling him that he's got to fight Callum Smith next for the WBC.
Right.
Man, yeah, I'm like at the point, man. Take that step aside money. Let these two guys fight, man.
Like, get out the way, man. Like we
Yeah.
already see what Callum Smith did in the big fight against Canelo. He didn't do much. So
Who do you guys think is gonna win that?
That's a tough fight.
That is so tough.
It is. I usually go with the more scientific guy. Like I really like Bivol, but Beterbiev just seems like, and he's not a bad. Beterbiev is not a bad boxer either. I think he's an underrated boxer.
He's an elite boxer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to show it.
He just gets this perception as just being a puncher. Like
he's very strong and he's very rugged too.
His face hurts.
Him. I think with somebody with him, you're going to have to kind of play chess with him. But I also need to see somebody like back him up. But he's so damn strong and rugged.
Yeah, you have to get a fighter that's willing to pay the price to back him up, and that's a steep price to pay. So I don't know. I mean, I don't even like making predictions about this fight right now because I feel like I'm just gonna be biased because I just seen Bivol recently, and then when Beterbiev knocks out Yard, I'm gonna say Beterbiev.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get signed, and then I'll do my film study, and then I'll come to a conclusion then. But it's a great fight.
That's a tough fight, and I'm glad that Bivol actually won it. He was like, man, I ain't playing that Canelo politics. He could go do him. Give me this undisputed.
My thing with that is I hope he just keeps that same energy because, I don't know if we got any contracts presented to him, but, when you start seeing them zeros, it's hard to say no.
But you got to think about it. He just made a Canelo payday. And he was like, all right, I'm keeping the same energy. I want to fight better.
Yeah. No, I think he does. I think he does. But, it's just, these managers, man.
So I'm hoping that fight happens. To me, that's the only fight that makes sense at 175 right now.
That's really like out of all the, I guess, big matches that happen in boxing. That's the one that I want to see the most. Like if I don't have to see any of the other fights, that's the one I want. Just because I have a hard time picking a fighter. Like when I have a hard time picking who's gonna win, that's those like fights you want to see.
I think that's like a 50-50. I think Crawford Spence is like a 50-50. You can go both. I could see people going both ways with it.
Yeah. I don't think Crawford Spence is 50-50. That's just me. I think Crawford would beat him.
I personally feel Crawford would win as well.
It's tough, man. It's one thing Crawford can't do is start that slow shit against Spence.
Yeah, that's the thing. He'd have to sit down and make him respect them early.
I think you have to take his jab away too. I feel like Errol's jab is world class.
Spence out.
It's not that it's not only world class. It's like he's throwing it so much. It's at such a high volume. Like it's gonna keep coming over and over again.
So yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Besides Tank, I got Tank stopping Ryan Garcia late.
Yeah. That's tough.
You know what's crazy? That fight gonna be bigger than the other two fights we mentioned.
Oh no, for sure. That's the casual boxing there.
Casual box fans are in there. I think Devin will beat Lomachenko wide.
Yeah. Honestly, that's out of all these big matchups, that's the one I could do without, just because here on YouTube it's really toxic. You got people that hate Devin Haney and love Lomachenko, and people that love Lomachenko hate Devin Haney. And I just for me, it's like Devin's going to beat him. Devin's going to beat him like 117, 111. The fight's not going to be particularly that exciting. And then Devin's not going to get any credit. They're going to say Loma was old and small. And then they're going to start talking about that Shakur Stevenson fight. That's what's going to happen.
I wouldn't mind, man. Let him pass the torch. I respect Lomachenko's skill. But
I understand it happening.
I'd love to see it happen just to be happy for Devin.
Yeah, I think this Devin Haney's last fight at 35. I think right after this, he's going up to 140.
Well, I want to see
that's going to be some smoke up there.
Yes, because that might be the deepest weight class in boxing. There's not like a ton of A-level guys. Maybe like one or two A-level guys at 140. But after that, there's another 20 or 20.
There's not a lot of separation. That's what makes it exciting. On Matchroom on that February 4th card, they're gonna have Hitchens and Baez. I really like Richardson Hitchens, man. He has a lot of skill for 140.
He's really improved. He's really, really improved. Because I remember I watched him fight a couple years ago against Arrhenius Mendez, and I was like, he's cool. But I've been watching, last 2 or 3 fights, he's really, I think, matured.
Yeah, him and Devin Haney would be a good fight.
Yeah.
They beat Montana Love.
Oh man, yeah.
Man, Montana Love went out. He went out disgraceful.
Who else? I like the kid Tiger Johnson. I like him coming up at 140.
I love Tiger Johnson.
Who else? I was there when he sparred Boots.
Oh, they sparred. I didn't know they sparred. They sparred?
Yeah, they sparred. And what's that other 175 kid? That's in their camp. That's what Top Rank. Boots sparred him too.
He's a top rank. Is it? What's that kid's name? I can't remember his name right now.
I can't think of his name either.
I know you're talking about
Troy Isley.
No. Troy Isley's a 54 pounder.
Boots sparred Troy Isley back in the day.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because Troy Isley's from what, I think Virginia.
Yeah, they sparred back in the day at the old gym. Who else?
His name. I'm pissed off.
I was the one that set up that Jakai Tucker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I set that shit up. I seen that post with the boxing voice and all that. So I seen the dad on the comments. So I had the dad we can set this shit up right now in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you seem to have your hand in a lot of stuff in boxing, Johnny, on the low.
Yeah, well, I seen that. And I set that right up, and then made them come in the next day at noon.
Yeah. But 40's deep, man. You got Sabril Matias, who's really, really
fun to watch. He's exciting, but I think someone's gonna end up just outboxing him.
He's already lost. He lost to that.
Yeah, but he came back and he stopped him.
I know.
What do you think about Gary Antoine?
I like him. I think he's got some things got to work on defensively, but
yeah,
because you watch the fights against like Bartholomew. Yeah. I mean, Bartholomew though that was a tricky one because Bartholomew he changed coaches. He met this old coach Orlando Cuellar who's down here, and then he started doing some of the things that made him a top fighter in the first place, and he's just long and awkward. So I'm not gonna shit on him for having trouble with Bartholomew, but Postal, the stoppages too, I think were a little questionable, but he's good. Gary Antoine, also good speed, good power. I don't think he's gonna be this world beater at 140 like everybody says, but he'll definitely be in the mix.
Well, you got Regis, of course. You got Josh Taylor. He about to fight too, right? Coming up.
Man, I think Regis, if they fought again today, I think Regis would beat Josh Taylor. Honestly,
I think so too.
I'm not basing it on recency bias. I think Regis has been more active, and that'll factor in. But also, the first fight was so close anyway. Like honestly, I had Regis up like 2 rounds.
And I think Regis probably makes the weight better right now. Like Josh right now.
Regis hired a nutritionist for the express reason to stay at 140. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And
Regis is kind of like a tweener because if he go up, he's in trouble with a lot of 147.
I want to see him at some point go to a 47. I know he's probably too small, but I wouldn't mind seeing them do that after a while.
Like keep him away from Boots and maybe Vergil and them. They might be too big for Regis.
Yeah. There's a lot of good fights there. I mean, I don't think Taylor's gonna be there much longer, but if Taylor beats Catterall in dominant fashion and he can still make 140 healthily, I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch.
I think if Taylor, but I don't think Top Rank will allow that because I think if Taylor beats Catterall and it is in a heavy fashion, that could be a butt opponent. He can move up and push that super whatever that WBO rule.
You think Bud and Bob will still work together with all the craziness, the lawsuit and everything?
Yeah, I think it's too much ego in that.
Yeah,
like Bud it's like in a weird situation. You don't want to work at Heyman right now. You difficult with Heyman. You don't get along with Bob. Y'all got egos towards each other. I think Bud gonna be one of them. He probably gonna be like at least 3 of them Black Prime pay-per-views. Is Broner on pay-per-view?
I don't know. I hope not. I hope not because they got Mickey Bay. I mean, Mickey Bay's my guy, but Mickey Bay, Tevin Farmer. I mean, right catch? Nah.
I like Tevin Farmer.
That fight was like 3 times it got canceled and all that.
First it was supposed to be I forgot what it was supposed to be first, but then it was like
Africa or some shit.
It was like Africa. Then I think they were supposed to fight like in Dubai.
Not Arizona, I think.
Then it was Arizona, and now BLK probably had to come save the day and give us the fight we want to see with Mickey Bay and Tevin Farmer.
Tevin Farmer, you know how it is when I tell you like people think business. Because I remember first seeing Tevin Farmer, I was like, oh, this kid he came in, he was with Rocco Collision. They had he sparred Danny.
Okay.
That's when I first really seen Tevin Farmer. And then, a couple years later, I'm like, oh, shit, this the boy that sparred Danny. I was like, he's sharp on defense.
Yeah,
But then,
he had a good little buzz going too.
Yeah, then when he started really like building his brand and all that, putting his, his name next to Tank and all that, now he got a brand, he getting some money and all that. When he started to thinking business is like a whole different thing. Like, that's why I say that's when he started to fall off. But when he was thinking like, oh yeah, fighting competitive, just thinking boxing, he was on point.
It was. I remember
personally, he should have took that Tank fight. They was going to offer him $2.5 million. Yeah.
Was there an offer for that fight?
Yeah, that fight was definitely offered, but I think Eddie Hearn and them was trying to come back and said $7 million.
Oh yeah, because that was when DAZN first got their money from the Russian dude, and
yeah,
he was probably getting paid crazy money for the Jonah Carroll fights, and
yeah. So it kind of when the business mindset came into it, kind of that's when you seen the fall off of Tevin.
Yeah, and then that's when he started buying gold chains, and he got himself a little girlfriend. Life was all right.
Yeah, that's why I said when a lot of fighters, when they think business first, and it's always a great thing to think business for sure. But when you start seeing them think business, that's when you start seeing them fall off.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think Teofimo is a good example. When
oh my gosh,
when that whole thing happened with Kambosos and going to Triller and having the fight postponed and all this other shit, like. Yeah.
I remember. I saw him out in Vegas when he was getting ready for the Kambosos fight the first time, and I remember they were like, that was around the time when Teofimo Senior was like, we're gonna have Metallica, we're gonna have Jennifer Lopez. Remember they were supposed to have all those celebrities or whatever at the. They were supposed to fight here in Miami, and I guess they were gonna have all these concerts and stuff at the fight. And so Teofimo Senior was gassed. He was feeling himself. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have Jennifer Lopez. We're gonna have."
Oh yeah, I remember that shit. On the
that shit was funny.
But yeah, when these boxers in their head, when they start thinking business, it's rare where people think business is still dedicated. One thing about Floyd Mayweather, right? He always thought business, but that O kept him motivated. I'm not losing that O.
There's nothing wrong with business. It's just it can't supersede. It can't take precedence over what you do in the ring.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then his business was predicated on preserving the O.
Exactly. But that was a mindset to keep him. He trained like he had nothing.
Yeah.
A lot of people, once they get it, you see oh man, what Hagler used to say, once you get silk sheets, it's hard to get up.
It's hard to get up. Yeah, Floyd.
So you got that's the one thing. But I tell people one thing about Boots is they love boxing. So even when he getting paydays, you might catch him dressing a little bit better and stuff like that. But he don't go nowhere. Mondays he in the gym. That's all they want to live. You can't if you take him out the gym, you'll be going crazy probably. Like mentally.
Yeah, Floyd was really good. One thing I liked about Floyd is whenever he was fighting an opponent that people deemed to be inferior, and people make fun of him for this, but I think this kept him like sharp mentally. He would say, like Victor Ortiz, I can't overlook him. He's a solid competitor. He's a young hungry lion. but I guess that was his way of promoting the fight, but also telling himself like, hey, this guy's coming to beat you if you're not in your A game.
But even like they, he got the persona going to clubs and all that. One thing about it, Floyd would go to the club, but he won't drink, and then
he's drinking water.
Yeah, 3 a.m, he running, stuff like that. Is a persona when they train. He knew, but one thing he knew is that's why he fought like tomorrow. That's why he kept that O. I don't want to lose because this is my life. That O is my life. And it kind of also hurt boxing because because now these fans want to be managers and they don't want to see their favorite fighter have a risk of taking an O. So
they write off guys who lost. Like, oh, he not undefeated. He's trash.
Yeah, that's why I be telling Spence and Crawford fans. I was like, in reality, y'all glad that you didn't fight because now y'all keep on arguing, bickering at each other. But once the fight is made, now one of y'all gonna commit suicide on whoever wins or loses. Somebody gonna commit suicide. Whoever loses is gonna jump off a bridge and shit. They're fans. So that's the only thing where I'll be like, damn, Floyd kind of hurt boxing because it made casuals be like, yo, man, he lost, man. He's not good no more. Like,
yeah, and that's horrible because fighters already go through a lot as it is just to be on that level. But it's like now,
99% of Hall of Famers lost before.
yeah. The only like modern fighters who haven't lost are like Joe Calzaghe and Floyd and Ricardo Lopez.
Andre Ward.
And Andre Ward, yeah, Andre Ward.
But also, I think there's also a more cynical part of the game now where like a lot of promoters are trying to artificially create a new Floyd with like, so I feel like Golden Boy's trying to do that with Ryan, where it's like, and more so the De La Hoya angle though, where like you get a guy he doesn't have the amateur accolades that Oscar did, but you artificially create the social media following and you get all the hype. But like if you compare their careers at the same age, like De La Hoya was way ahead of Ryan at this point, but didn't have half the hype.
It's a different era.
De La Hoya was ahead of most guys, period.
Yeah. But it's a different era, like branding, social media, and all that. Think about in the 90s, they didn't have that.
Yeah,
De La Hoya was huge.
The only social media they had was the boxing magazines.
The Spanish novellas. He was big. Like the girls loved De La Hoya back in the day. One thing De La Hoya, you could tell would mentally play for him so towards the later on his career, a lot of his big step up fight he lost. You could tell that plays with him.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and he kept changing trainers like he changed his clothes.
But it's different. It's now you got the social media and stuff like that. Shit, I be telling boxers like one thing about boxing, right? Amateurs, it's a sport. You meet up in the tournament, you fight whoever. You guys see each other in the tournament. Once you turn pro, it's a business now. Whatever you do in the ring is 50%. Now it's the branding, the promoter, stuff like that. Like now it's starting to open up more where you seeing influencers and YouTubers and celebrities fighting, getting paydays.
Oh, it's getting ridiculous. Like I actually watched the whole when Hasim Rahman fought Greg Hardy, that card.
Yeah,
I watched because there was no boxing on, so I was like I watched the whole thing. It was they got their own like their own belt, their own like little commissions going on. It's crazy.
Think about Hasim Rahman made his last 2 fights. He got his ass put out. He never trained and made his 2 biggest paydays.
Crazy.
Going against YouTubers. He's a YouTuber with them. I don't even consider him as a boxer no more. Don't take that shit serious.
Yo, that's funny.
But Jake Paul, think about it. Besides maybe Tank, Ryan Garcia, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, that's who I believe he's fighting next. It's probably going to be the biggest fight.
Yeah. I think at some point, I hate to say it, but I think at some point we're going to get the biggest circus show of all time. We're going to get Jake Paul versus Floyd.
I think, but Floyd ain't fighting like Jake Paul is actually fighting pro fights.
No, I know, but I just think at some point,
I'm gonna put an asterisk on that. Fight too, but that shows how the business is when Floyd fought Conor McGregor, right? Mm-hmm. Floyd is going for 50-0. Conor McGregor didn't have no pro fights as a boxer, and they got approved by an athletic commission.
Yeah,
that should have been his first exhibition fight, but that's his 50th win on paper.
That's sad too.
But I can see Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul. That shit would be huge.
That would be huge too. But no, the reason I'm saying I wouldn't rule out Floyd versus Jake Paul is because I just feel like like Showtime and whatnot, like they're losing. So they say they're losing a lot of money and whatnot, and they don't really have a lot of dates. I feel like that's the fight they're gonna make to bail themselves out.
No, I actually think we might see Manny and Floyd fight again in an exhibition because he signed that contract with Ryzen, who did Floyd's fight back in October, his exhibition back in October. So I think that might be in the works.
Good. You can spare me, please.
Yeah, I don't want to see that shit.
I didn't even like it the first time.
Me neither.
They ripped. I mean, they made a killing. I mean, God bless them. They made a great profit and sold a lot of pay-per-views, but like they raped the whole public. $100.
But people, I knew, like, that's what I said, style make fights. I told people even back in, like, 2009 when it first was, like...
Yeah, Floyd was going to wash him.
I told people styles make fights, like, the hype around it, people thinking, like, yeah, it's going to be a war. I was like, y'all going to leave out that fight upset because Floyd is not going to take no chances and just tag him up. I told people that. I've been telling people the whole argument what was going to happen that fight. That fight happened. oh, I'm disappointed. Then you have the people that don't know shit about boxing. Oh, he just ran this and that. I was like, y'all was gonna be disappointed from the gate because it was a lot of hype. That was gonna be a crazy war act. It was no, Floyd don't do that. He ain't gonna take that risk with Pacquiao. He gonna just tag his ass up and get that win.
Yeah, he's a chicken runner.
Floyd going, I was like, Zach, what happened? And people was upset.
That's the best part about that fight was actually after the fight. Like even now to this day, when you go on the Facebook groups and you get the crazy Filipino fans and they say,
Yeah.
Floyd doesn't fight like a man. He fights like a chicken runner. Yeah, man.
Then,
guys, it's pretty late. I'm probably about to go to sleep soon, so I'm gonna wrap it up.
all right, that's the bet. You already know. Just hit me up.
All right, good night, fellas.
I'll definitely hit you up. It was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, man, that was my man Johnny Full Throttle Ortiz and Julio. Shout out to him, man. It was a good hour and some change. But your boy is tired. Had a great day. Be on the lookout, guys. There's a lot of interviews coming out. I have a lot of stuff on my iPhone that I need to work on in the coming days. So you'll see some good content coming out. I probably won't be live tomorrow because I'm gonna be. I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. But if I'm not live Friday, the next live will be Saturday night when Tank fights. So if you get no live Friday, that means the next live will be Saturday night when Tank fights Hector. So if I don't see you then, if I don't see you Friday, I'll see you on Saturday. So with that being said, you guys take care. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.